Okay, our lesson today in 13.5 is about visualizing data. So we're really going to talk about what kind of graph is the best to use for each different kind of data, right? Because do you agree that seeing things in a picture format is easier to understand a lot of times than just looking at it in words and numbers? That's why we use charts and graphs. So we want to talk about how we can best present the data. What's the best way to present the information? Graphs or charts are easier to understand a lot of times than just lists of numbers and data. And we've used different kinds of graphs throughout these last couple lessons, but today we want to talk in more specifically about certain graphs. Pie charts are good when we are talking about percentages of information, because pie charts are easy to illustrate a percent of something, right? Bar graphs are good when we're talking about a quantity of something. Okay. Dot plots can also be used for quantities, something where there's repeated data, because it's easy to see how many times something appears when you have repeated data. Go ahead and pick them up. Okay. Thank you. And then histograms are used for distributions. So it's when we have a range of information, right? So we're saying like ages 10 to 12, right? So there's a range. We use histograms. Stem and leaf plots. Those are good when we have small groups of numbers. If you have a lot of data, you might not want to use a stem and leaf. But if you've got small groups of numbers, a stem and leaf can be useful. Box and whisker are used when we want to see the central tendencies. Remember, the words central tendencies is a big term that means we want to see the mean, the mode, the range, the median, right? Those are the central tendencies. Mean, mode, median, and range. And then line graphs, those are good when we want to show changes, especially over time. Okay, so changes, especially over time, line graphs give us a really good picture of how something is changing over time. Okay, so we're going to look at some specific examples and decide which graph would be best for this data set. Okay. So example 1 says that we're going to choose from the 8 types of graphs. Do we have 8 here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. What did I miss? Huh? Yeah. We have line graph. We have stem and leaf. We have box and pictograph. That's the one I missed. A pictograph uses images. It's similar to a dot plot or a bar graph maybe, but it uses images instead of bars. Okay, so let's go back to example 1. We've got 8 types of graphs that we're going to choose from, and let's see what we think would work best. What if we were going to graph the numerical scores for a 10-question math quiz. So we've got a 10-question quiz, and we want to show those scores on a graph. What do you think the best way to do that might be? And sometimes there's more than one. What do you think would be good to show scores for a 10-question quiz? Probably not a pie chart, because we need to have percentages. A bar graph would work, yes. So a bar graph would be a good choice. And then if a bar graph is a good choice, then it's also possible that a dot plot or a pictograph would also work. I don't think we need a pictograph to show math quiz scores, but we could use a dot plot, right? Now, the reason we don't want to use a pie chart is because we don't know if the teacher graded these quizzes on a scale of 100% or not, right? If she graded them on a scale of 100%, then a pie chart would work if we wanted to divide them into how many people made A's, how many people made B's, how many people made C's. But what if it was just 1 point per question? So you could literally make like an 8 on the quiz. Well, a pie chart wouldn't be good at showing an 8, but a bar chart could show that, or a dot plot could show that fairly easily, okay? So a bar chart or a dot plot is a good choice for that. What about B, the ages of the people attending your church? What do you think a good choice would be for that? Okay, probably either. A stem and leaf would be good, because there might be a lot of repeated values, and there might be like a lot of people in their 30s, but you could just put 3 one time for the stem, and then you could put their years as your leaf, and that'd be pretty effective. A histogram would also work. On a histogram, we would need to show them as ranges, right? So we might show children from 0 to 10 years old, and then or 0 to 11 maybe, and then we could show youth from maybe 12 to 20, and then we could show people from 20 to 30, 30 to 40, 40 to 50. Those are ranges, and so a histogram would work well for that.
What about a pie chart? Because I was looking at example 3, figure 4 is a pie chart. It's children, teens, adults.
So you possibly could do it like that if you were making big categories. You do it on a pie chart. Okay, what about C? The students who earned an A, B, C, D, or F for their midterm grade. Okay? Midterm grades, we've got A, B, C, D, and F. So we've got like 5 categories that we're going to represent. So what do you think would work?
Bar graph.
You could use a bar graph. You could also use a pie chart.
Stem and leaf.
A stem and leaf wouldn't work with letters. We don't have numerical grades for these people. We just know their letter grade. So stem and leaf wouldn't work. We don't need a histogram because that would be a range, right? So a bar graph would work. A pie chart could work. You could do a dot plot if you wanted to. I don't think box and whisker would work well. A line graph would not work. And there's a pictograph. I don't know what image you would show. So I'm not sure that a pictograph would be a good choice either, because I'm not sure what image you would put on there, because a pictograph, you need to be able to draw little pictures. So I think a bar chart or a bar graph or a pie chart would be best.